Hello there, this is Vanessa Ho. And again, today I'm going to share with you the second video in my multi-part video series where I want to share with you some of the most Vietnamese common phrases that you should know when dating a mature Vietnamese woman, okay? But first of all, let me just share with you that I'm not creating these videos with the intention that you have to be fluent in Vietnamese. But my main point is just to help you to get familiar with these common phrases in Vietnamese that will help you to communicate, and as well as so you can understand and then know about it and then learn and practice it when you're dating with your Vietnamese lady. So that will help her to see that, oh, he's really into me for a long-term relationship, not just a casual dating. So that will impress her a whole lot, okay? But again, let me remind you, what do I mean by mature Vietnamese woman? Those are the women who were born a few years before, right on, and a few years after the Vietnam War, because it is a crucial event in Vietnam's history. And also, once again, today I want to introduce with you Alex Nghiem. And he will once again help me to share with you some of the common phrases in Vietnamese. And let me share real quick about Alex. Just in case if you have not watched my video number 1, then you can go ahead, watch this video, and then go back to and search for the video that we did last week, okay? And so Alex Nghiem actually is a Vietnamese, but he was born in Laos and he actually never been in Vietnam. And he been living in the US for 44 years now. Therefore, when we are dating and seeing each other, and until now, he's still learning and adopting those and try to get familiar with some of the Vietnamese culture and customs that I'm actually the one that help him to get familiar with that. So I'm strongly believing that he's the best candidate to share with you those common phrases. Okay, so are you ready? Let's do it.
But first, how would you like an ongoing supply of free reports, helpful resources, and unique cultural insights for meeting, dating, and marrying a Vietnamese woman? Too easy. Just take a quick moment to subscribe and click the bell icon, and you'll never miss out again.
Hi, this is Alex, and in a short video, which is a part of multi-part series, I want to share with you two more phrases that you may want to learn when dating a mature Vietnamese woman, all right? So I'll say them in English first, so that way we have some context. So the first word is how to say thank you, and then the second word I'll share with you is ask somebody how is their day, all right? So just let me kind of go ahead and share with you how to say thank you here in Vietnamese, okay? So you'll see right here, say C-A-M and then O-N. Now, a couple things I wanted to bring your attention. There's a thing here about the letter A, and this O's got this little funky thing above it, all right? So a couple things I want to let me pronounce this in Vietnamese so you can hear what it sounds like. It's pronounced Cám, ơn, all right? So the first word is pronounced Cám, and then ơn. I want to bring your attention again to this little thing above the word, first word, okay, Cám. So let me break down what this is. Vietnamese, like French, has what's known as a hard C sound. Let me repeat what I mean by that, a hard C sound, okay? So this sound doesn't exist really in English. What do I mean by that? Well, people who speak English use what most people would refer to as a soft C sound, okay? So let me explain to you what this would sound like, okay? If you were to say this with a soft C sound like most English speakers would say, you would say Cám instead of Cám, all right? So you notice how my mouth spreads a little bit more and the sound is a little bit more harsh, for lack of a better word, okay? It's called Cám, all right, versus Cám, you see? Because if you say the word Cám, it means to inspect, all right? And it's a totally different meaning. Cám is a different sound than Cám, all right? So the phrase again is called Cám ơn, and that's how you would say thank you. Now, the other thing I also want to bring your attention is this, okay? This word has, if I take this word, this little thing off, all right, It's pronounced cam. Now, that is in Vietnamese, that's an orange. Okay, so there's two common ways that is mispronounced this word, I should say. If you pronounce this word with the right tonality, but with the soft C sound, it's pronounced cam, which is again to inspect something. If you pronounce it with a hard C sound, but you pronounce it at a lower tone, you're going to be saying cam, which is an orange, which obviously is not what we want to say, right? So that's what I want to kind of bring to your attention. I know it's a lot to take in to say such a simple phrase, but like I said, this is one of the reasons why, you know, Vietnamese has sometimes been considered difficult for an English speaker to learn, mainly because some of the sounds simply don't exist, you know, in English. All right, so that's how you say that. Now, as you may recall in a previous video I mentioned, right, Vietnamese is somewhat formal, and so you would use this phrase "cảm ơn" to mean thank you if you're talking to somebody about your age or, you know, your lady, all right, and that's perfectly acceptable. However, if you're talking to somebody who's older, maybe her older siblings or her parents, it would be inappropriate just kind of leave it at that. All right, if you recall, one of the words that we mentioned in a previous video was the word bác, which generically just means elder. All right, so you would use that with her parents. So if you want to say something like thank you, you know, to one of her parents, you would use this. Okay, and it would be pronounced cảm ơn bác. So you recall in a previous video I mentioned the word bác is a generic way of saying elder, right? So this would be translated loosely as thank you, elder or older person. If you do speak again to an older person, it's very inappropriate to leave that off. It's perfectly fine to say cảm ơn to a friend of your same age or even to your lady. But if you're talking to somebody older, it's not considered very good manners to leave off the last word. So you would have to say cảm ơn bác. All right. So that's how you would say thank you in Vietnamese. And again, it's going to take maybe a little bit practicing, but once you get the hang of it, it's going to be fairly straightforward. All right. So let me share with you now the second word I'd like to cover with you today. Okay. So if you meet somebody, of course, a common courtesy is to ask them, how are they doing? Okay. So let me write to you what that looks like. Okay. So the word it would be pronounced khỏe không. All right. So again, it would be pronounced khỏe không. Okay. Loosely translated, it actually means, you know, is your health okay? All right. But you know, as a phrase in English, it would be translated to how are you doing? All right. So let's say that you're, you know, the lady that you're that you're going out with, her name is Lynn. Okay, so how you would ask her to say, how are you doing, Lynn? And again, it would be like this. All right, you would use her name at the beginning. All right, so Lynn in Vietnamese, it's written L-I-N-H. Lynn khỏe không? That's how you would ask, you know, or how are you doing, Lynn? In Vietnamese, it's more common to use the name when you're asking how are they doing at the beginning of the phrase. You can use it at the end of the phrase, but it's just not as common. All right. So again, if you were to ask Lynn, it would be, you know, your lady, Lynn khỏe không? It would be translated to how are you doing today, Lynn? All right. Now, as I said earlier, if you're talking to an older person, you'd have to swap that out, right? So now you're probably going to start seeing some patterns here. Okay, it would say bác khỏe không? Okay, so bác again is, you know, elder. Khỏe không is how are you doing? You see, because grammatically and sentence structure wise, Vietnamese differs a little bit from English, as you would probably pick up this point. But I'm just trying to teach you, common phrases versus actually trying to get into all the, all the ins and outs of grammar, which I'm quite technically not qualified to share with you. But just, as a phrase, if you were to ask maybe one of her parents, how are they doing? It would be said, bác khỏe không? All right. So again, khỏe không, it means how are you doing? But since you're speaking to an older person, you would never ask somebody, without addressing them as an older person. It would be bác khỏe không? All right. So those are the two phrases I just kind of wanted to share with you. All right. So the first phrase that we covered is cảm ơn, which is, thank you. All right. And then the second phrase we basically covered is how are you doing, which is khỏe không? But again, you wouldn't necessarily say that just as it is. If you were to ask, like, say, your lady friend, if her name is Lynn, you would say Lynn khỏe không? If you were to ask maybe one of her parents or somebody older than yourself how they're doing, you would have to put again the word up here called bác khỏe không? All right. So I hope you enjoyed this short video. Again, my goal with this is just kind of share with you common phrases that that you would want to know in most social contexts. All right. And I did want to get to all the ins and outs of the spelling and all of that, the grammatical rules and all that, because it just makes things much more complicated than it needs to be. As long as you can have these phrases that you can use occasionally, and of course, the more you use them, the more proficient you're going to get. This again will show the lady you're with that you're at least making an attempt to learn the language. I probably mentioned this more than once in this video. Vietnamese at its core is actually a much simpler language than English. It's just that when you're coming from English, the sounds are very unusual. So when you first learn it, it's like I said, it's a different language, right? But once you get the hang of certain sounds, the rest of the language actually is significantly easier than English. I would say that in many ways, it's way easier for an English speaker to learn Vietnamese than it is for a Vietnamese person to learn English, because English has much more complicated rules about grammar, syntax and things like that. Vietnamese, it's difficult for an English speaker, mainly because the sounds are a little bit unusual. But once you get a set of, like, there's about maybe 10 or 15 basic sounds, the rest of the language is fairly straightforward to learn. All right, so that's what you have to look forward to. Okay, so to use what we just covered here, cảm ơn for being in this video and give me an opportunity to share a little bit about my culture, and also to share my day with you, and also share phrases that you can use when you're around your lady and also her friends and her family. All right, so this is Alex signing off. If you enjoyed this video, please make a comment below and give me some feedback, and I'd love to share more of these in the near future with you.